So this podcast was motivated by watching someone on LinkedIn over probably the last year, and all they do is bitch and complain about how they want to work with pro athletes, and they have been able to work with pro athletes, but they're never able to get ahead, and they blame a lot of people. They blame the team, they blame the athlete, they blame all sorts of shit, and it really made me understand the idea of like, hey, maybe what you do just really isn't that fucking great, and these athletes aren't finding you for a reason. So in this podcast, I really wanted to dive into like, what really goes on to be able to work with high-end professional athletes, without having to go through the team or doing shit for free. So I share 4 strategies to really help you change your marketing, your messaging, how you show up, and how you explain what you do. And it can really help you consistently work with high-end pro athletes, charge accordingly, and become that true expert that solves problems in your field, in your industry, and stand out from everyone else out there that's also trying to go after athletes. So I hope you enjoy the show. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Soft Tissue Revolution podcast, where we show massage therapists how to make well over $100,000 per year, all while working less than 20 hours per week by learning to work smarter, not harder. Dr. Matt Maggio here. Thank you so much for stopping by and listening to the show. I'm always grateful for all our downloads, people joining the Soft Tissue Revolution all over the world, and just appreciate you guys. I want to say that from the bottom of my heart. I know the most valuable resource you have is your time, and the fact that people are willing to invest some of that each week to hear what I have to say, hopefully get a little better with their business, a little better with their treatment, and just show up better as a better version of themselves can really help the rest of the world. So let's get right into it with the podcast. Just a couple show notes, couple housekeeping things. My 2022 schedule will be coming out soon. I'm recording this podcast on 11/30 of November, and I'm going to have this come out. The schedule is going to come out next week. There's going to be a few big groups, and then there's going to be a lot of small groups, specifically in my clinic in Iowa with more of that high-end, more attention, more fine touch type of thing. All the courses are CEU approved. We just revamped the free training as well. If you haven't got that yet, the information to that's in the show notes. Also, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. I am putting up 3 videos a week, really sharing some good, useful content. So that's all my housekeeping stuff. So let's get right into the podcast. 4 strategies to help you work consistently with pro athletes without going through the team or giving out treatment for free. This one was spurred upon me the other day. There's someone that I'm connected with on LinkedIn, and they just spew out all this shit all the time about how woe is me, and I work with some pro athletes, but it's not consistent, and it's because of this and this, and blame bullshit, all this stuff, and the teams are assholes, the players don't get how fucking great I am. And I'm like, I just watch this like slow train wreck every week, and they put up polls and they put up all these things about like why it's everybody else's fault, and they blame everyone else for why they're not working with pro athletes because they think they're the fucking shit and the most amazing thing out there. And I just think to myself, I'm like, maybe your shit isn't that good. Like, instead of blaming everything else, they blame the teams, they blame marketing, they blame all this shit. They don't really do a real dive into like, hey, do I have something really fucking valuable to bring a pro athlete, specifically a high-end pro athlete that their bodies are their whole livelihood. And these are the people that make a ton of money. And if you can get them to function and perform a hell of a lot better, you're going to be able to work with those athletes. But it's really hard. A lot of us, especially in the bodywork profession, we got into this field, with the dream of like working with that pro athlete and being like, I'm going to have somebody that I work with, or a whole group of things. I work with a team, and it's like this ideal, like just I hit the upper echelon and I'm in this amazing place. But you get into the real world and you realize that that's easier said than done. There's a lot of work involved. There's a lot of people pulling for attention, trying to get these athletes as well. And nobody's been able to really stand out. So then you kind of get just looked at as like, just like everybody else. And then you get stuck kind of dealing with all the bullshit, dealing with the team, dealing with the divas that are the athletes, dealing with other practitioners shitting on what you do. And it becomes a big problem. I've worked with professional athletes a lot in the past, and I think it's good, but it's also bad too. And what I realized first is that dealing directly with the team is completely fucked. Like, you don't want to deal directly with the team. Usually what you're going to find is some idiot athletic trainer that thinks that they're the fucking shit and they know everything. Or you're going to be dealing with the orthopedic doctors that don't respect what you do as like a conservative care practitioner. And many of these team practitioners that, you know, if you work with them, you're going to have to do what they say, treat how they say. They're never going to really give you full credit of what's going on. So what I say instead is go directly through like the manager or the agent of the athlete and really try to like form a relationship with them and tell them what you can do and how you can help. I've even seen some success stories where someone else that I know that does the peak method, they actually got in contact with the wives of the players, you know, through other people. And that really helps too, like more of that personal touch. So don't go through the team. Make sure you do it more through like the manager or the agent as well. Sorry, to get some water. A side thought though on ego. At the end of the day, are you doing it to work with the athletes for attention, or do you truly give a fuck about what you're doing? Are you like, no, I got to get this athlete and show everyone how fucking great I am? Because at the end of the day, ego shows right through. And especially, and you see this all the time, and I call it the hanging on their dicks practitioners, where they put up all these pictures and they take credit for the athlete and what they do, and they share their videos and they're like, yep, that's because of me. I'm like, quit hanging on their dick. Athletes don't really like that. Maybe the lower level ones, but the high end athletes, they want to just go about their business. They want to do things right and do it in the right way. On a side note, a really good book about working specifically with a high end athletes, you know, like Kobe Bryant, I think Michael Jordan and Dwayne Wade, is the book Winning by Tim Grover. Go and listen to that and really think about the idea of like the high-end athletes, where they are, what they do, and that can really change your perspective. But basically, let's get right into it. 4 strategies to help make sure that you consistently work with high-end athletes without having to go through the team or giving shit away for free as well. Number 1, pick a specific problem that you solve. This is key, and I'm seeing this missing so much. I even teach this just in my regular coaching and my regular training. Pick a particular problem that you solve. And what I see with athletes a lot is like, be that person that fixes hamstring pulls, be the turf toe person, be the shoulder person, be something very, very specific. Because at the end of the day, specialists get recognized way more than generalists. And this is how you're going to stand out amongst the athletes. Like, find a specific problem that you can fix, that you have the unique set of skills to go about and do that, and market yourself as that. Quit trying to be the whole body person or this and all sorts of shit stacked up. Be like, I'm that one person. Like in football, like everyone pulls their fucking hamstring and nobody's fixing it, or turf toe, or shoulder problems, thoracic outlet, like all sorts of shit. There's so many athletes that miss out so much time because of that. And if you can specifically solve that problem, when they're looking at you compared to another therapist, they're like, oh, well, so-and-so does everything, but this person, you specifically fix that problem that I have. And it's going to really put you in a different level as a specialist, being taken more seriously, being able to charge accordingly. Number 2, marketing performance improvements instead of recovery. I see this all the time, and massage therapists get stuck in this route all the time about recovery. Like, honestly, recovery is like a dime a dozen. You can find a bunch of people out there that can do recovery and do that, but there aren't people out there actually marketing performance and what you can do and how you can increase their speed. You can increase how they function on the field, and you can see this with real tangible data. Like, really market yourself as like, hey, I'm going to help you perform better. Because at the end of the day, no one gives a fuck about recovery. They care about performance. Recovery is like, I've talked about this in past podcasts. Recovery is like the dental hygienist. Performance is like the dentist. And you want to be that person that does that high-end performance, and you can really show them how you can make them better. You can make them more optimal. As they get better and they get more optimal, they're going to make more money. They're going to last longer, and they're just going to be in a different echelon. Number 3 is charge accordingly. Don't give shit away for free. Nothing screams bullshit to an athlete when it's like, hey, I'll do it for free if you give me a shout out on Instagram and stuff like that. Yeah, the lower level people might like that, but the high end people, the ones that are really good, these are the people that spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars on their body and their health. And they're not going to want to go to the cheapest person. As soon as you hear cheap and it's like not that expensive, they're alarm bells are going to be going off and ringing and be like, this actually isn't a very good product. So charge accordingly. And honestly, charge something fucking outrageous. especially if you have to go to the athlete and you do that. Charge $500, charge $1,000, and it will actually get the attention of the high-end athletes. Now, the lower ones that are trying to price shop you and do stuff, they're looking at you in a different lens. They're looking at you first as, hey, you don't solve a specific problem. Other one is just recovery. And you're not really looking at it as that performance expert. But when you can really market yourself, you own that shit, the price reflects the amount of value that you're going to be able to do. Lastly, number 4, don't hang on their dicks. Talk about this earlier. Don't hang on their dicks. Instead, focus on results. Don't be like, hey, let me get a shout out. Let me get a picture. Blah, blah, blah. I'm fucking great. Like, don't do that. That's so needy. That's so clingy. That's so amateur. That's what I'm saying. Amateur. It's like, if they want to give you a shout out, have them do that. That's great. But don't do that with the idea of like, hey, I'm going to be the shit and I'm going to get a shout out because I'm fucking awesome and I'm going to share it everywhere. The best of the best, they do shit in private. They do things on a personal level. They don't share what they're doing with other people. Seriously, go back and listen to that and read that book, Winning. And you'll really get the idea of like the best of the best, the ideas of Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and what they do. And they work in silence and they work under the radar. No one knows what the fuck they're doing, but they're at that top of their level. And really just start focusing on getting the results and you'll get the reputation as a problem solver. The same shit that happens in your own practice when you do that and you do it right. You get the regular old word of mouth. I saw this with one of our peak method trained practitioners. They started by treating one position group, and then they started fixing problems, specific problems, before they knew it. The whole position group goes, and before you know it, you're going to be looked at in the professional realm as a person that fixes a problem, the person to go to, the person that don't mind spending a shit ton of money, and understand that you're not going to be all over there hanging on their dick, being like, get a picture of me, do all this stuff, because that shit is fucking needy. That shit is amateur, and that stuff won't get you anywhere. Do it for the right ways. Get so good at what you do. Have a specific problem that you solve. Market performance, don't hang on their dick, and charge a fucking shitload. That's all I got. Hope this podcast helped. If you do like it, share the show. You want to give us a review? Give us a review. That would be great. Go grab the free training. What else do I got? Subscribe. And really just keep pushing it. You know, we're getting towards this last month here of the year. And this is when a lot of people go on retreat. They take a break during the holidays. I don't do that. I put my foot on the fucking gas, push it so you can be ahead of everybody in the beginning of the new year and get the life and the practice and the business you deserve by becoming a true solutions provider and not being a service provider anymore. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye. Thanks so much for listening. If you want help on the path to being able to double your income, all while working 50% less and being taken seriously as a healthcare provider, I have some great resources for you. Number 1, get access to our free training modules and introduction to my system, the Peak Method. Number 2, subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Soft Tissue Revolution. Links to all of this can be found in the show notes. Lastly, if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star review and share it with others that you know it could help.